What is up, everyone? Welcome back to episode 5 of the Algorithm. I am David Verjano and I'm here with JC Perez. We're part of Cultura Creative. And today we're going to have some fun talking about quite a few things that we've been seeing hit up our feeds, as well as doing a little bit of research. As you can tell, we're on theme today. It's
Halloween special, baby.
Halloween special with tomorrow being the big day. I didn't wear my actual costume. We gave it a tryout. JC can attest to the fact that I was not going to be able to wear that wig and that beard successfully without me tripping up over my words and everything. But yeah, before we jump into it, JC, I don't know if there's anything you wanna chime in on and get into it.
No, excited for today's lineup. We talk about the death of search, or maybe not. We don't know. You can hear us out. We dive into sports again, which we always love to. And there's any excuse that we can dive into sports, we will. And then we have a special guest today, Juanita Carvajal from Fine Wine and Gourmet Travel, which is a client of mine for a long time, also my mother-in-law. But really to dive into to her business and personal branding specifically, especially older generation that is kind of reshaping right now. Marketing is reshaping their business and how they do things. So really excited to dive into that, but even more excited to be here with my costume and with your costume. And when you pulled it out earlier, I was like, man, I got to pull out my Buzz Lightyear. So
Yeah.
I guess, like I was saying, I guess you're Buzz Aldrin, I'm Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah.
So it works.
We're the space cadets today. All right, so let's dive into the actual rundown today. But so yeah, really we have like a few key topics here that we want to go through, and the first one has to do with search and kind of like how it's shifting. Some people might say that traditional search is dying, and there's kind of like this new wave of discovery, especially when it comes to like social and some other platforms where you can discover these things in platform and in just different ways. And then we always like kind of like tapping into what's going on in the sports world. We're actually on the end of Hispanic Heritage Month, so there's some cool stuff that specifically the Miami Heat are doing, but we'll dive into like one other brand identity that we thought we would spotlight just because we feel like it was a well done thing, and it's actually international, so it's something to take the lens off just national, U.S. sports, and then a little bit more of like the on theme stuff with Gushers coming out with a horror film, which I think was really interesting. It's a unique take and kind of like leveraging nostalgia, but then bringing it to the new world and then modern day with an interesting kind of like mini film that they created as a result of it. And then we'll wrap it up with the topics here with Blumhouse. I don't know if anyone's a horror film aficionado or like film buff, but they've dropped some amazing films over the years, and they've done it in a really creative way. So they've gotten some really good results as a result of it. So we'll dive into like their strategy and some of the tactics that they used to actually achieve the success that they have. So let's just dive into the search topic, because I feel like this one's really interesting and something that a lot of people are experiencing really in their day-to-day now. And it's where you used to just open up Google and go to google.com or have Chrome and search for something. Like now there's the advent of, oh, well, maybe I'm opening up ChatGPT, or maybe I'm opening up something else like Perplexity or Claude to find information or to get a little bit more of an in-depth understanding. And so some stats here that we wanted to highlight is that really 60% of US adults now are saying that they're using AI to at least to search for some information. And that number actually gets higher when you look at people that are like under 30, mid to under 30s. And then you also look at just like US adults interact with AI in some capacity on a weekly basis, several times a week, about 62% of the time. So like over half the population of the US is interfacing with AI and using it on a regular basis. I don't think it's clearly not overcome Google, because as you see this third stat here, like there's still 26 times more visits to Google than there are to ChatGPT, with GPT is obviously like the big one right now. So it's still dominant. That Google isn't dead for sure. And what we're gonna talk about also is like seeing the browser wars that are happening and how that's going to affect a lot of this. But yeah, I don't know if there's anything you want to jump into here before I get into like the alternate search side, because there is a lot of interesting stuff that's happening in terms of behaviors.
No, dive into that, because I really, one of the things, or the main thing that I wanted to talk about was that the alternate search and discovery habits, and then like how that's leading into agencies and how agencies are working here moving forward. So yeah, if you want to continue there, I'll dive in
Yeah.
at the end.
Yeah, like TikTok is the other giant in the room. YouTube, which we don't really mention too much, but it is like really TikTok has become pretty much the preferred method of search for Gen Z. So younger audiences are using it, and there's 2 billion monthly searches globally on TikTok. So like if you're looking for tips on how to make a recipe or how to do something around the house, DIY stuff, like it's becoming that tool, that discovery tool, where people are searching and finding that kind of content that they're looking for. And they really spend, like it says, they spend 24 times longer on the For You page than in search though. So it's like there's also the competing side of recommended and the algorithmic side of like giving you and serving you what you might like based on your actions, based on your interests and behaviors. So there's a lot of that, and in YouTube as well. Like you might look for something and watch a video, but then it says 70% of YouTube watch time is now coming from recommendations, not from search. And I'm assuming that's to do with like you watch that one video and then the next one starts playing, or like there's something on the side that you're like, oh, that looks good, and you go down that rabbit hole of, all right, well now I'm like watching 2-3 other videos that I didn't even come here for. So it's search is directly tied with discovery and recommendation, and it's part of the equation now as to people how they spend their time watching and consuming information. And even platforms like Amazon, like specifically when it comes to products and reviews, like 60% of those searches are starting on Amazon, not on Google. So like, oh, you found this cool contraption that you're going to use for your kitchen, or someone recommended, where are you going? You're going to check it on Amazon, see the price, see the reviews, and do a little bit of research there. So it's like we're seeing that kind of a different approach to search. And it kind of prompts us to this, like, how does this impact like search advertising, SEO, and marketing in general? So I don't know if you want to dive into that, JC.
Yeah, no, look, when you talk about Amazon specifically in search, that's been a long time coming. It's always kind of been the playbook with D2C, right? Is like any brand that usually the brands that get discovered, or you have a customer looking for it, they're going to go to Amazon first. They're going to search it. They're going to look at the reviews. They're going to look at your what the product listing is, and what your descriptions are, and then either purchase through Amazon. Usually is that first purchase, and then hopefully that if you're a D2C brand, that second, third, fourth purchase are on your Shopify, on your own website, to be able to get them into the ecosystem. But as far as SEO is concerned, like I think the biggest takeaway here is every platform matters now. It's not just diving into SEO. It's not just optimizing your website or optimizing your keywords or your blogs or whatever the case may be. It's really across the board. Like every single channel, every single caption, every single transcript, from YouTube to Instagram to TikTok, like everything that you put out, you have to have in mind that is going to be able to get scraped and is going to be used for something on search and like you said, discoverability. So I think this also puts into play the change that agencies need to have here moving forward. I think, like, is search dead? And that was ultimately the question that we were asking ourselves, and how we came about this when we were doing our research. Like, is search dead? No, but it's changing, and it is changing for everybody. And I think agencies need to understand that, and that traditional kind of like SEO focused, agency work that a lot of agencies get into, like I think that is also changing as well. And you need to really understand that across the board content, your like I said, your captions, your transcripts, everything is getting searched, is getting scraped, and is going to be used for this discoverability. So yeah, look, and you said it earlier, like how algorithms change based off of what you're watching. I mean, on a weekly basis, how many times do I send you something, or something gets sent into the group, and we're like, well, now my algorithm's fucked, like, because it's the truth. It's like you watch one video and it changes your whole about me page and discovery page. So I think that that's just that's just a tip of the iceberg of what's coming and how things are changing on a daily basis here with SEO and search and discoverability. So yeah, and if you're a brand right now, like I said, I think like a holistic 360 approach as to where you're putting your content, understanding the captions and what you're putting out there. Everything matters, and you need to take everything into consideration. And it also like helps brands, I think, understand the landscape as well. Like you don't have to stick $6,000-7,000 into just SEO nowadays. Like you can spread that out. Everything really does matter. And I think like that's it is a game changer for brands, but in a good way, I think.
Yeah, I think the way to look at it too is when you want to rank or be known for something, it's now looking at a campaign approach across different channels that can be discovered or scraped by these different tools, whether it's Google, whether it's some of the AI chatbots or any of these things that are going to do the searching for the user. Like if you have a YouTube video that talks about a certain subject, let's say you make car parts, right? And you make a whole YouTube video that focuses in on a specific car and the parts that you sell for that car. And then you also have a blog post. And then you also have a series on social, on Instagram that talks about it. It's going to be easier for those tools to aggregate and compile it and show that like, hey, this is a brand or a publication that is very honed in on this subject. And they'll be able to display all of them for you. And it's not just being like, oh, on my website I need 13 blogs that just talk about this car part. Like no, it's gonna take into account all of it because it's looking at it's a interest graph, it's looking at search behavior, it's looking at all these other things and then deciding how to serve that up. So you can't just put all your eggs in one basket and just do a ton of blogs or only do videos that do this. It's like it should be a holistic approach, and the more kind of like tentacles that you add that all surround the subject and have like other ways that kind of stem out of that subject, you're going to be looked at and served up as a subject matter expert or a brand that really is honed in on that kind of stuff. So that's kind of the approach there. And then a few like behavioral shifts that we're noticing here. Like really people are now searching for content through other people as well. So like whether that is an influencer or a community or people that are talking about that, like that's also has to be part of the puzzle too, because there is still that digital word of mouth that people go to and try and look up, and the traditional way of also like searching on Google and then being served just these like links and this like list of things that's starting to be removed, right? Like it's becoming less and less common because like why would I do that when I can ask one of these AI search tools to kind of give me an answer and be much more like it's going to serve it up in a way that's more digestible and gives you a direct kind of answer and a holistic approach there.
Where you're able to purchase now direct, like there's as of last week, it's connecting to Shopify, it's connecting to these other platforms where you're able to purchase direct from one of these GPTs.
Correct. It's like instead of like, oh, I search for it on Google and then I have to click through this link to then find what's there nested in there. It's more of like, oh, you're looking for an ointment because you have a rash. Like we know that you live in this zip code and you can go get it here or buy it directly at this link and blah, blah, blah. Like you have multiple options being served in a much more like contextual, relevant way for you. So you need to be aware of that and like really approach and make sure that everything that you put out there is done in a way that it can be searched and discovered and indexed in that way. And then the other things that, there's a lot of like what's scrapable and searchable publicly, but there's also this other aspect of like being in these micro communities and some of these like gated / private communities and being active, whether that's like someone that's going to speak on your behalf or someone that you give them the tools to be able to like provide the right information. But like there's people that are on Discords, on WhatsApp groups, on Telegrams, on Substacks, all these other little micro communities that you might just chime in there like, hey, I'm on this group that they're all developers for some sort of machinery, right? Like I'm gonna go and ask. If I've been a part of that group or that forum for the past X amount of years, and I've seen what they've posted about, I might just go in there and ask because I feel like they have the background, and I don't have to like double check if my AI search is gonna give me something that's valid or not. Like it's being cross-referenced and you're validated by people that have done this and have that expertise. So it's having that, and then also now this other layer that's much less common, but it's starting to become real. It's like the voice and the vision and the wearable side. Like how does it get served when someone's talking to Gemini or talking to ChatGPT or any of these things, or Amazon, Alexa or any of those things. So it's you don't have to do all of this, but it's still being aware that this is like it's starting to shift. And another key thing here is like we're seeing the browser wars become much more prominent. You're seeing that Perplexity launched their own browser, the ChatGPT launched their own browser, and so they're coming for Google. And what it's going to force Google to do is now truly integrate Gemini as part of that search. You've seen it done in a small way, but like they're going to be forced to do it because it's like, well, if there's already have AI natively integrated into the search, like you're going to either be left behind or you're going to have to force to adapt. And I foresee that by the end of this year, beginning of next year, that Google search becomes just like Gemini search, or it becomes just much more focused on that because of this pressure that they're feeling from these other competitors that are, in their space.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Look, to distill it down, I think for brands and for people listening is, I think it's important if you are a brand here moving forward to look at your marketing, to look at your either organic or growth marketing, whatever the case may be, as a holistic 360 approach. Creative first, okay? Focus on your creative, focus on your storytelling, focus on your authority building, especially, really across the board. But like if you're in a service industry, for instance, we're going to have Juanita on later, and she's in luxury travel. Like if you're in those type of industries, focus on your authority building, because the more that you can do that and the less that you focus on the traditional, I have to put out 5 blogs a day, 10 blogs a day, whatever the case may be. And the more that you can spread it out and spread your word out. And we've talked about remixing and utilizing content here on across platforms. We've talked about that in the past. And I think that's the best approach possible, is like, how do you distribute the content that you're creating on multiple platforms so that it can be more discoverable to these AI platforms here moving forward. So, again, to distill it down for brands is creative first. Try to get into authority building as quickly as you can. Tell your story. And it could be your personal branding story. It could be the story of the brand, whatever the case may be, but start to get out there and start to build that authority as best as possible in a 360 holistic approach, and always creative first, because that's really where this is going, right? The more that you can create across platforms and across multi-platforms, the better that you're going to be here moving forward.
Yeah, and kind of like what we came to the conclusion is that obviously search isn't dying, but it's mutating, it's decentralizing, it's fragmenting. There's a lot of different things happening at once, and how there was once a point where in order for you to access the internet, you would go to AOL and log in, and that was the gateway, the portal to the internet. Then there was the advent of searching for websites and going to a Google or an Ask Jeeves or these other sites that had search tools integrated. The search bar is not going away. It's kind of like floating around and going to different spots, because ChatGPT has a search bar. All these things have a search bar, but it's now you're asking them much more than just like, hey, I'm looking for grocery stores near me, or whatever the case may be. It's you can actually get more granular, and there's also like subsequent tasks, like that whole agent mode thing that it could be integrated and used as a result. So yeah, it's shifted away from just index sites to, like I said, interest graphs, AI interpreters, like knowing that there are other things that are aggregating and using this information, and making sure that you're packaging it in a way that's easy for it to distill and accurately kind of reflect it. So it's a new kind of ecosystem, and you have to navigate all those algorithms, navigate the creator community and all the other special communities that are out there that are talking about different topics, and go down those rabbit holes and find it. If you're in a niche, don't be afraid to make sure that you're relevant and a present in those communities, because it's important for your presence there.
Agreed.
I think that wraps up this. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to chime in before we go to the next topic.
No, I'm good.
Cool. So shifting gears here, something that we always like kind of diving into is sports, and really from a branding perspective, we found this creative studio that redid a brand identity for Perez basketball, which is actually they're in the Euro League, and they're in the it's like a Euro Elite League, so it's like the top French league that's out there, and they did a really good job with this identity, in my opinion. And you could see kind of like the array of icons, word marks, and different things that they integrated into this identity. Obviously they have the colors of France in there, but it also doesn't feel so on the nose that it's just like the French flag, right? Like they did it in a unique way that still references it and pays homage, but also feels modern, feels modular. You see it applied in these different touch points, and how well it's kind of like reflected. And some of these other ones, like I love seeing this kind of stuff, the sketch work that goes into it, that you could see how like they were thinking, and they tried different angles, how it would look as the ball rotates, how it looks on just like the one that shows the away word mark of Paris, and how it looks on the jersey applied. Things like this other alternate one that has much more of a script look, and how it went from like a sketch to the actual vector final look. How it looks on a ball, like seeing it come to life is always a cool kind of thing, even with a secondary mark here. Very well done. They have this little video that kind of nice, clean,
simple, but good.
On a hat here, embroidered, right? Like very well done. You can see, like seeing it come to life this way is when you're like, damn, it's more than just a concept. Like it's actually done in a way that you can see, you feel it, you feel that they did a good job, and they explored all these options to get here. That's always part of our process as well, is like making sure that we go through the different options and concepts and say like, hey, out of all these, we feel like this is the best one. And they obviously picked this one. I think they did the right move here. They custom typeface, like slightly modified, and has like both an italics version and a straight on version. Very bold and a little brutalist in that it's very tall and compressed, but they also have like other ones that kind of piece it together. But it's very ownable. Like you see it all come to life here, and I think they just did a really good job of putting this, like obviously having an italic one for something that's sports related, speed, action, movement. It's smart to have that version of it, and especially when you animate it, like this is awesome. I'm assuming they won the championship last year, so just seeing it in action and like showing how it looks both as the thing that's living at the top, illuminated and just like brought to life, and they're celebrating in it, like that must be like the ultimate thing that you want as a studio. So this studio did a really great job of bringing it to life, and it's cool to see what's going on in other parts of the world, and how you can take design principles and see how like it's being done in different parts of the world. So I don't know if you have anything here, but I feel like that was a cool little run through of how they brought that to life.
No, super well done. I agree with you. It's really cool to see like in action, and I'm sure that they were really happy to see that. But I love this era that we're in. That design and branding are creeping in hard to sports. I feel like now more than ever, it's happening, and I love that. And you're going to show some more examples now here moving forward. But I think like we covered it last episode, but brands are really understanding that is a part of the connection to their fan base, and a part of the connection to building out a fan base. And I think like very well done. It looks super tasteful, very very simple. It's classic in a way, even though it has that modern feel, but it feels classic. It feels fantastic. Very well done.
Yeah, I think they told that line really well. The next one that we're bringing up is actually obviously a local team, and they partnered with a local artist west of Chester, who's a good friend of ours, and she does great work, her illustration work. She came out with a book and a bunch of other things. And she designed this collab merch with Court Culture, which is the Miami Heat's merch line. And they dropped it recently. It was part of a entire little series called Dale Heat for Hispanic Heritage Month. And yeah, like Melissa, she's part of the Adobe team, but she does this as well. And she's very like well known in the local community, the arts community and design community down here. They did a whole real cool little video that will show kind of like spotlighting and promoting it.
Hi, I'm Melissa Gutierrez, and I am the illustrator and designer behind West of Chester and featured artist for the Dale Heat campaign. The story behind the shirt was I wanted to create iconography that was specific to Miami. Something that I really wanted to focus on, blending the culture of the Heat, but then also the culture of Hispanic heritage with Bernie and the logo, and finding ways where I could blend the two together through color and icons. Being able to collaborate with a team that has had such an impact on the city's culture. As an artist, it's a dream opportunity. I want people to feel like it's their own representation of Miami. And I think that's where the idea of these little patches came in. It could be a chancleta, it could be a domino, but having these surrounding illustrations that bring you comfort and remind you of your city and bring in that pride that we all feel.
So I think that was a great, little drop that they did as part of Hispanic Heritage Month. I also follow some of the members of the Heat creative team. She's Carla, and she's part of the, the whole crew, and they showed a little bit of behind the scenes of how they mocked up this idea, right, and how they actually brought it to life with the set design, and getting these elements to be part of the actual set that they ended up shooting it on. Little notes. I'm assuming this is from Melissa, and how she was very grateful about being part of that entire process. So yeah, I shout out to the Heat creative team, the Core Culture team. I think that they do a great job of staying true to the city, staying true to this kind of environment where they'll partner with a local artist or individual that has some equity in the terms of like the arts world and design world, and just like partnering with them. It's like you have a great creative team, but like there's always talent and other perspectives and other angles to bring to life, and partnering with people that are rooted in the community, I think is a smart move. And I think it's like a great kind of little approach here. And then the last thing that I wanted to, I don't know if you want to chime in, but
no, keep on, because I want to riff on Core Culture.
Yeah. And so they did another collab. They did it with Duvin.
So fire.
And this is like, I've had this conversation a lot. I've kind of been like over the Vice thing. I think it's like played out, not specifically the Heat, just like anyone who does a take on the Vice, because I feel like the Heat are one of the few organizations that have done it right and tastefully. And I think this drop that they did with them was done well. It doesn't feel just like Miami Vice. It doesn't feel like just neon lights and drugs and that kind of thing. It feels a little bit more like that nostalgic beach kind of almost surf culture, right? It's like a faded neon. It's not like the cheap, cheesy one that you see like overused. And I think they just did a great job of bringing it all to life here, and like just like little things that they've really like put together, like the illustration work, the gradient, like the vintage gradient look here, the boat stuff. Like I think that they did a good job. This collab was well done in my opinion. And it looks like they shot this just in like someone's backyard, and it's a cool kind of like approach to it. I think
this one specifically feels a little like Miami Vice meets like Bayside High, like Saved by the Bell type deal.
There's a little bit
something of it there, especially in one of the shirts that you showed. It feels a little so I agree with you, like, and Derek said it here on the chat, like Core Culture is always dropping heat, and I see what you did there, Derek, by the way. But I agree, man. Like I haven't seen one drop that they've that they've had that I don't like. Everything is just absolute fire. And you said something earlier with Westchester, and I think that this is super important for creatives all across the board, which is like being a good creative is just having good taste. It's not one size fits all, and you can always collaborate. There's always other points of view. There's always other things that you can bring in to enrich your team and your art and what you are creating. And I think that core culture is showing that with this collab, and shows that with the Westchester collab. So incredible. Again, always on point. I love that. This is probably one of my favorite drops that they've had, just because I love that Saved by the Bell, kind of fusion, and it feels a little bit like that. I'm not saying that was 100% their focus, but like it just feels like there's something there of that. And then obviously mixed with the Miami Vice and that kind of like old school Miami 80s feel. So I love it. I love the way that they merchandise this. I love the way that they market this. Again, I think the Heat in general, because obviously core culture is part of that. I think the Heat in general do a great job of this across the board. They have their military drops as well throughout the year. They've got their Vice drops. They got their core culture stuff. So kudos to him. Kudos to them, not just because we're a local, we're local fans and we're being maybe a little bit biased here, but they really do have, as far as merch is concerned, they really do have it covered. And kind of last bit on the merch side, I really love this new era of merch that is not so team focused and not so on point, right? We talk about the if you know type deal, and I love that move into if you know. Like I hate wearing very very direct, branded merch. I'm not a walking billboard. Like I want it to look good. I want it to look fashionable. I want it to look I want to be able to go out with it and not feel like I'm a freaking walking billboard. And I think like these drops by core culture and the way that we're moving in sports in general are doing that, and I hats off to them. I love that. I love that move.
Yeah, I think it's about injecting into the styles and aesthetics of what people are wearing in current day when it comes to fashion, and not trying to be so on the nose that it just, like you're saying, feels like a billboard, just feels like slapping a logo on the chest. That there's always a room for that,
Sure.
and some people will be fine with that, but in today's age, like you want something that almost like represents your personality and style a little bit more, and that you could wear when you're not at the game and when you're not watching a game, like just on a regular day. So I think it's important to be tapped into those things, and obviously having a name like Core Culture is it's great because I feel like they're nailing it.
Yeah. Agreed.
Cool. So switching gears here back to the Halloween and spooky season. One of the brands that we grew up on, Gushers, they have kind of done a really interesting approach here by doing a mini horror film. And it's based on their old nostalgic commercials where you would see people's heads turn into fruit. And it was like very whimsical and funny and trippy and stuff. But then it's kind of crazy. Like you'll see a snippet here of like where it came from and how they kind of like molded it into this like horror motif now, which is really interesting.
None of this is working. It doesn't feel real.
It must feel absolutely real. We got a commercial to finish.
Fantastic.
So that's a teaser for it, obviously. And then I love what they've done too with the memes that they've dropped as a result of it. It's just like a way to kind of give it legs. And it's cool. You're rehashing something that's nostalgic and then like bringing it forward to something modern, a little bit more gruesome, tied into Halloween season too. And I think it's a great way of, again, remixing something and taking an old idea and being like, what if we now have a spin-off? What if we do something different that people can talk about, that people can like engage with? And I've seen a lot of people actually saying that it's a well done film. And the reason why it's well done is because they tapped Mike Diva to do it, who he's well known for doing a lot of like music videos, but more recently he joined and has been doing special segments on Saturday Night Live, especially the ones that look a little bit more gory, but also have a little bit of humor in it. It's like dark humor is really like part of his style. I had a chance to not work directly with him, but with Lord Danger, which is the group that he's a part of, and it represents him in redoing the website. So it was kind of crazy to see that he's the one that is a part of this now, and is the one that's like kind of like the director behind this whole thing, and does a good job of like using VFX and storytelling to kind of bring it to life. So yeah, I think this is a well done take on something that is nostalgic and just like bridging those two worlds together in a way that is compelling, and it's striking. Like it's hard to like not remember this face and see it used this way. So JC, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, no, it's world building, man, and I'm a huge fan of that. It doesn't matter the product. Like Gushers cannot be more like basic of a product. It's a candy type deal. You know, I know it's fruit or whatever it is, but it's it's somewhat of a basic product, and to be able to kind of create this content and then has legs to be able to create memes, and there's just so much storytelling that can go off of this. I'm a huge fan. Mike Diva's a stud. And he does great work, and it's not surprising that he did this. And I was telling you earlier too, and I don't know if this is just an indirect it was an indirect cause of just good storytelling and what they created, but like the fact that they used fruit head, and like there was the fact that they used the image of the strawberry or whatnot, it almost like starts to give the product like a natural feel. And again, I don't know if that was indirect, and I don't know if that was on purpose. I assume it was not, but like, but it's funny, like when you attack these things in a storytelling, world building way. There's things that happen indirectly like this that are positive to your product, and it's just well done. I love this. And then there's so many spin-offs, right? Like I could see like a Christmas spin-off to this. I could see like different holiday spin-offs to this that makes sense, even if it stands alone as a Halloween kind of special edition, as many brands have done. Reese's has done that as well, and they've taken over kind of like the Halloween platform. So or the Halloween season, very well done. And again, when you approach these things with good storytelling, when you approach it with world building, and you understand what that means and how to capture that, there's so many positives that come out of that as a brand when you create content like this. So kudos, home run in my book.
For sure. And kind of the last topic before we open the floor, again, on theme, I think that there's a lot of lessons that people can learn from a company like Blumhouse. They were founded in 2000, and most people know them for their initial like viral film, really their marketing campaign for Paranormal Activity. What's crazy is like over the course of all the time that they've been out, they've generated about $6 billion, and their return on investment has been like $8.20 for every dollar invested.
Wild.
Like they've done a really good job of doing these like low budget films with high return for that. And it's just like, instead of, they were more nimble. They didn't have like that, oh, we're coming in with the big guns and all the crazy equipment and spending all this money on the location and all these other things. Like they're actually, doing things that are a little bit more contextually right for these films, and they know that they have like a fervent audience that is going to watch these films. And just the approach, like if you go back to 2009, which was the advent of like barely Facebook was around, right? Like it was like Facebook and Twitter and MySpace was still a thing, and they made this film for $15K, and they ended up grossing about 193 million. And what they did was they launched it at midnight in select cities, and then they had this website where people would kind of like crowdsource and vote where the next location would be. And by knowing that, they would build demand and know that those markets would have a baked audience. And so they were able to kind of build around that and choose, all right, it's going to be in Austin, it's going to be in LA, it's going to be here. And they were able to like really grow from there. And they had like campaigns where like tweet your scream, or like if you're watching the film, you record yourself reacting to this. And it was like that UGC thing before UGC was a thing. So kind of like very visionary in the way that they approached it, and crafty with the way that they kind of went about marketing this, especially with a really small budget. So it's just like a lesson learned from, even if you're constrained by a limited budget, or that it's only going to be for a very niche audience, like that's actually where creativity shines, because that you have a little bit more of a constraint of some walls that you have to work within. It's not like this blank canvas that you just can like do anything and spend all the money in the world to try and like get it off the ground. So I think that they did a great job here. I don't know if you have any notes before we jump into the purge.
Riches in the niches, man. That like just focusing on what you do well and honing in on it, and world building like they do, and storytelling, and we were talking about it earlier, like you just said, doing more with less, and understanding that those constraints can be positives for you as a creator. They've done a great job. So yeah,
and I think that what's cool is also seeing like years later them coming about and doing something like The Purge, which they only spent $3 million on it and it grossed nearly 90, and it ended up becoming a franchise, right? Like it was like now they have like 5 different ones, and they also did a TV series. And they prompted people with like the question, like, how would you survive the night, or like what would you do if crime was legal for 12 hours, right? Just like getting that conversation going. And so people were on Twitter and other channels kind of like discussing it, and it almost layered a little bit of like political discourse indirectly, right? And what's funny is that they did this website called the NFA, the New Founders of America, and as you could tell, it looks like a legit government website, really. And it was like talks about issues, and just having these little call outs that they would put out that are really interesting, and just like violence is human, purging is patriotic, just like almost making it feel like it's a real thing, and it just has legs for days at this point. So it not only spinned off an entire series of other films and shows, like you now see this, it's funny, it almost looks like they have like issue cards and other blogs that you talk about here. It was done in 2013, but like it was set in 2022. So it's kind of crazy how like now we're past that, and this feels like a relatively modern website for government standards. But even then, like you'll see this used like it's permeated culture in different ways. You'll hear meme videos and reels that have this sound. Like it's iconic at this point.
They're down, baby.
Yeah, it's if you go to a football game, your team might be playing this on third down. It's either this or like the Undertaker song. So like it's funny how like just something that was part of a low budget film has become something that's been used for now 12 years later. It's still prominent and relevant. So kudos to them and how they went about, like when you have a good story, when you have like something that's memorable, and then taking that kind of angle of like we're carving into this very specific topic, but it also has legs. Like you can spin off 5 films from it. Like that shows you that it was well thought out.
Yeah,
and they stuck to their guns.
Yeah, and also like I think, especially when you're competing against these big studios, the leanness of that and being able to use the tools and the technology, like you see, you were saying the way that they were running ads in 2009 or 2012 or something like that. Yeah. Like being able to be that flexible and that lean has really like let them catapult here in an industry that has always been kind of overtaken by these big production studios. So for them to be able to be lean and get into this industry and make big waves, is kudos to them, but also like, you know, it's a strategy, and it's a understanding of like, you don't have to have the big production dollars. You don't have to have the latest, you know, cameras. Like you can do more with less, if your storytelling is on point, if your world building is on point. You can build a badass brand, and multiple brands actually, because that's pretty much what they've done. So again, kudos to them, and it's just a testament to like small production studios. You know, we were talking about that this week, right? Like staying lean, staying focused, like honing in on what we do as a company, as a media agency. So kudos to them, and they're definitely a North Star for agencies like ourselves.
Yep. And then even this third and final example with Five Nights at Freddy's, which is actually a video game that came out not too long ago, but they decided to take that IP and convert it into a film. They partnered with Universal on this one, and they made it for 20 million. So it's like a little bigger budget, because I guess Universal came in and, you know, fronted a little bit more money, but they saw that, yeah, if you can convert 20 million into 297, almost 300 million, like that's a great return. And it's the highest grossing film for them to date as a result. And what's interesting is like this intersection of worlds that I'm very close to, which is gaming, because there is world building and there's interactivity in those worlds. Like you're playing in these worlds and these maps with these characters, and you're seeing the arc of all this. So it's like it's inherently already baked into that, except it's even more integrated because you're playing through it. You're not just like a passive person, you're like actively engaging with it. So it's almost like they're smart here to narrowcast to the people who have played and follow and have bought the game. Start with them and then like grow out from there, because it's like the low-hanging fruit is them, right? Like they played it, so they have to have some interest in this. I think Halo also recently came out with a TV series. I think it was less well received, or like they probably just didn't match up in terms of like what they spent versus what came out of it. But it's smart to narrowcast, like go into those Discord channels, go into the forums and the other areas that they went about this, and then being creative here. Let's see if we could play this little video, this TikTok that kind of like sums it up pretty well. See if it reloads here. Give me a sec. But this TikToker kind of broke down pretty well all the different marketing tactics that they went about to bring it to life, and it's just like engaging people and, tapping into fans, tapping into creators, and giving them somewhat of the keys to start promoting on your behalf and take part in this as you would do in a video game. So
with a piece of viral marketing that I think is pretty cool. It starts with this motion poster that reveals a phone number that you can text. And by texting this phone number, you will begin the process to being interviewed to become a security guard for the Freddy Fazbear Pizzeria. In the process, they'll ask you a couple of questions and then reveal some information about the movie, like a training video for employees.
The genius who created Fazbear Entertainment opened Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria to indulge in his two greatest passions: family-friendly fun and cutting-edge animatronic technology. Let's introduce you to the stars of the show.
Then they'll even go as far as to ask you for your picture so that they can get your badge ready. And well, if you pass the test and you get hired, they will send you a poster with your photo giving you your badge ID to become the new night security guard for Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. This is honestly an awesome piece of viral marketing, and since tickets went on sale today, it looks like they're going to be kicking up more stuff. I know some fans have found like a pop-up shop that is going around in LA. So I hope the marketing continues to be this cool, because I like it when movies do this.
So as you saw, like just being creative with the way you go about it, like, oh, you can play a role in this. You're going to become the night guard at this place. And then doing pop-ups and doing other things to activate and get people like to talk about, or, just perk their ears and see like what's going on here. It's just being creative with it, right? Like here's a breakdown of like a few things they did. They had that chat bot, right? To get people to be, the night guard shift. It generated 800,000 users. It got like 18 million different messages, and like they got 40,000 UGC reels out of it. Like that's a great way to like get content out there and like create an army of people that are going to go out and promote it on your behalf, really. And they got some YouTube influencers really to talk about it, and it got to the trending topics at certain points when it was being released. At the time, did a Snapchat lens. It looked like a security camera, almost like a CCTV thing, as well as like with the animatronic characters in the background. Pizza boxes that were distributed at local spots with the branding on it. And then they even released a fake game that had like little teasers of the film in there. Just, leaning into the parts of the story, the behaviors of people that already played the game or that they know are digital native and could engage different ways, or watching YouTube, they want to like engage on social media with this stuff. So I just think that it's a smart way to approach it, and obviously it became like their highest grossing film as a result. So it's just leveraging an IP and just bringing to life that story in a unique way. And the three takeaways that I think we can all learn from Blumhouse is constraints can actually drive creativity. It's not something that's just a hindrance. It's something that you can use and take as like a challenge to be like, all right, well, this is what we can't do. Now, what are the ways that we can approach it differently and take a different angle as a result? And not just being mass media and broadcasting everywhere, like narrowcast, like go into those forums, go into those communities, talk directly to these smaller group of people that are probably going to be much more engaged and much more in tune, because that they have this interest in this like and this behavior. I think is very smart. And then ultimately, again, empower the people that are your fans, that follow you, your audience and creators that are in the space, because they're going to be the people that are promoting on your behalf. It can't just only be coming from you. It has to be word of mouth. It has to be other people talking about it and presenting it from their perspective, because people trust people, and you need to make sure that it has to be relevant, and they have to share the story from their lens so that the people in their community and their network actually get it. So JC, what do you think about all this?
No. I agree, and I think that's brilliant on their end, and it brings me back to like maybe not so recently, but like what made Star Wars was that like it was obviously the storytelling and obviously the when it came out, the first movie in the 70s was the high end effects and really the game changing effects at that time. But also people don't realize like the world building and the way that it encompassed the with merchandising, with everything outside of just the movie itself. And I think like more brands, doesn't matter if you are a movie, more brands need to do this. And I think that this was very well done. You said it, digital first. And I think like the more touch points that you can have, I'm not a gamer, so I don't like, I didn't know this until, doing the research with the bullet points that you had put together. But again, it doesn't really matter what brand you are. Like the more touch points that you can have for your consumer, and then enabling your client, your consumer, your viewer, whatever the case may be, to create content, to create that UCG, to create that those tentacles, like we like to call it, that are outside of your brand, outside of what you're creating as a brand. The more that you can push that and enable that, the better. So kudos to them. It looks amazing. Again, the research that I did, it felt amazing. Gave me also like, I think when Stranger Things came out, they did a very similar job as well. But the first thing I thought of was Star Wars, because like that brings me back to like the original Star Wars and like the cosplay and all this type of stuff where you feel like you were part of the movie and that world, if you will. So yeah, kudos to them.
Yeah, like if you were to add a fourth takeaway here, is like world building and story is just like has to be at the core. Like spend a lot of time making sure that that's compelling enough, because from there is where you can then spread the tentacles, as we're saying. And as we talked about 2 weeks ago with Domino's, like having a multi-sensory approach, like you're not just seeing it, you're not just hearing it, you're now like experiencing it in a pop-up. You engage with it online. You see all this other content and other elements. Sometimes they'll make other little packages like a candle or something else that you can smell and taste and feel, and just tap into all those things. So it's just another approach to that. And if you have a compelling concept, that has, you know, enough of that kind of like world building that people want to be a part of that or experience further, that should be the focus. And then from there, you can really like activate it in all these different ways.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So to wrap it up here, we're opening the floor. We have a special guest today, and I'll let JC introduce her and kind of give a little background on her.
Yeah. So we got Juanita Carvajal today coming on from Fine Wine and Gourmet Travel. Fine Wine and Gourmet Travel is a high end, and I'll let her kind of riff on her own brand as well. But they're a high end travel agency. Juani's been in the industry for more than 25 years plus. That's probably low. She is first and foremost my mother-in-law, but second she's a client, and we've had her brand for a while now, and I wanted to have her on because I think that it's an important topic, especially nowadays with personal branding and authority building, and really how that's a game changer for a lot of industries and a lot of people that have been in the industries for decades, and how it's kind of changing the game for them. So yeah, we'll let her on now. Hi, Wani.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. Can you see me?
Yeah, we can see you. So just I was just giving a brief little introduction, but I'd love for you to introduce yourself and introduce Fine Wine, and then I'm going to ask you a few questions because I really want to dive into the personal branding and a lot of the stuff that we're currently doing with your brand, and really how that kind of changes the dynamics of what you have done traditionally for marketing and travel. So
it's because before.
Hello?
I don't hear you. I didn't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, can you hear me?
Hear you now.
Okay.
I can hear you now. There is a little bit of delay between the voice and the image.
Oh, no worries. No, you just wanted to kind of give a background on, you know, how you got to the point you are today, and, you know, really like how you're modernizing the business. So like you can kind of start with how the idea came about, and then you can fast forward to today and how you, how you're kind of like adapting to today's world.
Okay. Well, I only have to say that I couldn't be more grateful for the incredible job that you guys do every day. I haven't been able to do this without a group like you guys are, constantly making sure that the social media is managed well, that the newsletters are on time, on point, encouraging me to step up and do photo shoots and do recordings and do voiceovers and even now a podcast. But we are a very small agency. We are a boutique agency. And nowadays, the social media and all that branding involving that is required to be able to be, out there and making people find you, and then giving a professional look. It has to be done on a professional way by people like you. I don't have time for that. And again, I can be more grateful because you guys all do a great job. It is incredible. I always say that when I started this career 37 years ago, I started working with no computer in my office and with a telex machine. You guys haven't seen a telex machine ever in your life, right?
No, I saw a typewriter is as early as I got in.
Okay, it was a type of a typewriter with a chat included on it, and that was what we had. And then after that became the fax machine. I was born and raised in Venezuela, so the fax machine was something very unique but very expensive. And we couldn't use it on a daily basis. We couldn't use it on a regular basis. Sending one page of a fax machine back then was $8, 30-something years ago. It's a lot of money. So, and with that, we did a career. I started my career in one of the most profitable agencies in Venezuela with probably a couple computers and a telex machine. And then a fax came up. So from there to what now everything goes on social media and everything. I couldn't have done that without a group of people like you, that are that what is behind all that, and how to do it correctly. And so after so many years, you guys are the ones that did the branding correctly on my brand, then did keep up with my newsletters, with my social media on point, and everything. And from the Google reviews to the newsletter that my clients get every month. So I can be more grateful for that. And
I think specifically, Juani, like one of the things that was interesting about your brand is that you really from the ground up built a reputation based pipeline, right? Like you have never really had issues bringing in clientele, and when we discussed 3-4 years ago, when we sat down to really attack your brand, it was really like, how do I come to the new digital age and allow people that are discovering me for the first time that access to my brand in a way that is going to be digestible, and they're going to be able to understand what I do. Because one thing is word of mouth, like again, that's where your referrals have come from the beginning. But another thing is that discoverability. Somebody seeing you on Instagram, somebody seeing you on whatever platform we're talking about, and being able to understand and distill down what you do, the tours that you put together, the level of tours. And I think that was the focus, 3-4 years ago. But as marketing, even from 3-4 years ago, has evolved, I think like one of the things that we're diving into now is like, how do we now tell that story to people that don't know you, that are not coming from word of mouth, right? That are not coming from that 6 degrees of separation. And how do we start to shift that now into your brand authority and telling your story of the many, the 25 years, well, you said 35 years that you've been in the industry. And how do you start to distill that down? And I think like one of the biggest challenges that your generation is dealing with right now is that it's shifting from under you, how you've traditionally been able to tell that story and that word of mouth, to now like you have to evolve that pipeline, and you have to grow that pipeline. And to be able to do that, now you have to reach people that don't know you. Yeah. And how do you tell that story in a very quick way, in a way that is going to be able to get them to click and go to your website and get onto a WhatsApp or whatever the case may be. So I think real quick, like, what is the struggles that you see on the personal branding side of things? Yeah,
it's easy. I don't like the camera, and now I have to get involved. So you guys push me all the time for voiceovers, for photo shoots, to be, to put my person behind the brand. And after so many years, how you make me understand that I need to do that in order to be able to be seen in the world that we are right now. So for me, it's a struggle because I'm not a camera person. I'm always been behind scenes, also because I started this business on the wholesale side. So not even selling to the public, also selling to the agencies, and then the agencies to the public. So I jumped from that very back end of everything to the front of the brand, and for me it's been a struggle, but it can be happier with the job that you guys are doing, and I just thank you for pushing me. I can say it in any other way, but for people like me that have so many years, and almost all the business comes from referrals and from return clients, 80% of my business nowadays, this is complicated to do. If I don't have a young crowd like you guys are, I don't understand all this technology and things, and I couldn't have done it.
Yeah, I think it's important too, especially in every industry is going through this, right? Like the travel industry has gone through a massive reshaping in the last 10 to 15 years, and COVID like fast forwarded that to the nth degree. But I think it's a testament, and not because it's you, but it's a testament to how you've been able to hone in on your niche. And we always say at Cultura, we have a phrase: there's riches in the niches. And how you've been able to hone in on your niche, and how you've been able to tackle that luxury travel, that gourmet travel, and really like where the industry is going into. I think that's a testament to you and to your brand. And although like, you know, it's a struggle for you, I know, to get you in front of the camera and tell your story and whatnot. I think like you've already done a lot of the homework, and you've already done a lot of the groundwork by understanding on a macro level like what your niche is and going after it hardcore. And I think that separates you in the market. So kudos to you. And I think that's one of the things that we're doing as an agency is understanding that and how do we tell that story of your specific niche and how do we amplify that, you know? And I think
for me, besides of the old technology, the travel industry, like you said, changed from one day to another in a total different scenario. So the technology has made us create a niche, a product that it was very, very unique, and in the sense, like, you know, we have some experiences that we do that people can do it on their own, because I'll take you to places that are private, that they're not open to the public, you know, things like that are very unique. But I need to let people know that we have that, because nowadays, to book an air ticket or to book a one-night hotel or 2 or 3, whatever, you guys don't need anybody to help you. So we create experiences, and we need people like you to make us be, you know, out there, we're getting people to know that what we do and who we are. But again, I couldn't have done it without you guys, so I couldn't be more grateful. Thank you.
I don't know, David, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I mean, I have 2 notes more about just seeing where the industry is at and how it's going. Is one, even though it is more complex now that there's just social media and search and all these different channels, it's also more accessible. So before, you would have to like spend a lot of money to get on a TV show or a radio show or get a billboard or get, you know, one of the things that put your name out there. And now you can technically just go direct. You can open, you know, your profile. You can start building a following. You can spend with not even too much money. You can spend some money on digital ads and get in front of very targeted groups of people, interests, behaviors, sometimes based on their affluence and you know, their business, their occupation. So you can get very focused. So that's like, while it is a challenge and it's complex, it's also very like, it's an opportunity, and it makes it so that you can be more direct and not be spending money on these big billboards and campaigns that some people might see it that are your customer base, but also a lot of people that can't afford it or aren't relevant to you might see it. So there's a little bit of money that's being spent there in the wrong way. And the other thing is that as there's more of these like bigger companies and AI and other things that kind of like remove the face and the personalization, being able to be a person and a human and someone that someone can connect directly with is more valuable than ever. And someone that you can say, oh, I didn't just type into ChatGPT where I should go, this winery in France, or go to Napa. You could talk to someone who's been doing it for decades and actually has connections, has experience and knowledge that is distilled and more real than ever. So that's how you start creating a differentiator and something that can't be replicated by AI. The people that are going to look for information are going to find it. But if they want that personalized touch and at the end of the day, someone who's going to curate and package it all for them, and hey, every day, like if you're a parent, if you're working a job or 2, you're not going to spend all this time doing that, unless there's some people that like doing that, they're planners, but other people are like, I just want to go somewhere. And, you know, you're telling me I'm going on this all-inclusive trip where I'm going to see Andrea Bocelli at a winery in a cave. Sign me up, because I don't want to worry about it. I just want to do that. And you do that. So
It is like that. But we have to remember that we can feed chat GPT, whatever, you know. And it happened to me one time not that long ago that a client sent me apparently an itinerary that ChatGPT gave her, and she wanted me to do the reservations for what she was sending me. and 2 places didn't exist. 2 of the places in cities, it was not cities that had that type of wineries and things. Is because people fit the ChatGPT. So you can do things on the travel, of course you can, but and you can do to wineries on your own. There are things you can do, but you cannot go on an underwater winery experience if you don't know where to go. You cannot go sometimes to do a tasting of mussels on the farms, and where they take them out of the mash of the bag and do a tasting on top of the water in the middle of the farm race. It's like there are things that are not easy for you to put together because not necessarily ChatGPT knows where the farmers are and the ones that are willing to be with you. I have wineries that are only by invitation. I have to be approved and send a CV and also an interest of my clientele, and then they give me permission to go in. So if you Google, they're closed to public. So there are many things that that we can offer that is not offered on ChatGPT and is not offered on on the internet. But in the other side, if we don't put that out there and we don't put it right, how people know that we can do very unique experiences like that?
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? But besides all that is the lack of time on a boutique agency like ours. And so, I'm grateful every month for the job they do. I love my girls. You guys are boys, but I have a lot of girls working with me every month from your organization, and I love them all. They're all great, and well, the boys also, they are. But I think you guys have a great team, and I really appreciate it because at my age, I want to just do and do what I love to do, which is sell, pamper my clients, and take care of them. But everything in the back, you guys are doing a great job, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. I really wanted to highlight that because I think that your story and what you do, we see it more and more every single day, and I think that yes, this wasn't to be a highlight of our agency, so thank you for those kind words. This was more to be a highlight of your agency and what you do. But I think it's
a win-win.
It is a win-win. But I think that you are on the right path, and you're one step ahead of a lot of people in your shoes and in the same kind of trajectory, which is you understand what you need to do, you understand the things that you can't do, and that you don't have time for, and you're allowing us and giving us the reins to be able to do that for you. So we appreciate that, and yeah, that's all.
Thank you very much.
That's a wrap on that. So thank you.
Thank you, guys. Continue the good job. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Okay, so I think that
that was our first guest, man. That was nice.
Yeah.
I liked it.
We'll be having more guests moving forward. But we like to highlight whether they're clients or not. We like to bring on people that are business owners, entrepreneurs, creatives that have experience, and they can talk about it because we have other people that are tuning in that are going through similar situations, and they need to learn firsthand. That you can always find tips online, you can find some videos that tell you stuff, but there's nothing like that firsthand account of what it is to run a business, what it is to manage marketing, do the accounting, do all the operations. There's a lot that goes into it, and we play a unique role in the marketing, branding, and creative side. But I've always been very fond of people who are operators and do that very well, because you gotta wake up every day and service your business and your clients and whatever you do, whether you sell a product or you have a service. And so we get to do the fun part, in our opinion, of making sure that we present it in the right light, reach the right people, capture their attention so that they can keep you top of mind. And we're not unique to this. There's plenty of other people doing this kind of work. We just like honing into people that are doing it in specific industries, that are cultured, that want to bridge that gap between future and past, and not just have like something that's so ultra modern that it has no soul, but also something that's not so old that it literally feels dated and nobody can connect with today. We like to, bridge that gap and be a team that finds a way to make it come to life. And so, yeah, I mean, other than that, JC, I don't know if you have any parting words before we wrap up.
No, it's funny, man, because as you're saying that, I had a conversation with my wife a while back, and before I started my original agency, before it became Cultura Creative, and one of the things that she nudged me on was to create an agency, and one of the things she told me was because you have such a passion on helping people with their brands, not just your own brand, but you really do love helping people with their brand at whatever stage their brand is. And I think I think on that all the time, and I thank my wife all the time for that, because I think what really gets my juices going is the fact that like you said, the entrepreneurs, the operators, the people that wake up every single day in customer service, and that have to be kind of like the end all be all for their businesses. And that really excites me. We just had an agency, we just had an event company that signed on to upgrade their branding and to upgrade their creative strategy. And this is a brand that has been around for 15-20 years and is a leader in their industry, but understands that they don't have the bandwidth to also tell their story in the way that we can tell their story. And that excites me. That gets me going, and being able to help entrepreneurs, help business owners tell their story and be able to amplify their story in a way that they can't, not because they lack the ability to do so, but a lot of times they lack the bandwidth and the time and the space to do it. A lot of times it's not because they can't. Like these entrepreneurs do crazy things every single day, amazing things every single day. They can definitely take on marketing, but it's just time, and it's the ability to like focus in on what needs to get done. So that really excites me, and I love stories like this. And we'll have, like you said, thought leaders throughout the marketing kind of arena, if you will. But also I would love to continue to bring on entrepreneurs like this that are clients or not clients, to be able to tell their stories and like how marketing and how this new digital age is impacting their industries and their business. So I love this.
Yeah. And really, like, to kind of wrap it up, the main thing for me has always been about, if you play these different roles within an organization and you see firsthand, you get your hands dirty with the different sectors that are required to run a business, you then get to learn, the time it takes, the mental load, the kind of resources you need to actually make sure that these things are properly done. And that's what entrepreneurs do. And so people that understand that, even from the marketing standpoint, are able to then be very understanding of, all right, I know that I tried this, I know that it's difficult, or I know that it's it's a time suck really for you to have to execute this on a week-to-week basis, and then entrust, whether it's an internal team or an agency like us, to help take the ball and run with it. I think that there is a world where you can have any of those combinations. You could have an entire external team that's an agency and just handles it all for you, and you have a good relationship. You could also have an entire in-house team that does it all, but then you also have to manage that team. And then there's the hybrid approach. There's sometimes like you need the team to be creative and come up with campaigns, but then you have someone on site that can do the social media or the emails or other elements. So you have to find what's the right mix for your business and what your threshold is for what you can invest or what you can kind of allocate to these things. But we're just always trying to position ourselves as creative partners that are willing to see eye to eye and understand that you're running a business, and we want to make sure that we're taking that part off your plate and also putting you in the right light so that you can succeed in the best way possible. So that's really all I have for today's episode.
Same, man. It was another good one. It was a good episode. I appreciate it. And I love our audience.
Appreciate you guys for tuning in. We'll be back in 2 weeks. So if you can follow us on Cultura Creative Co. on Instagram, and subscribe to Cultura Talks, this channel where you're watching it right now, so you can stay tuned with the upcoming episodes. Other than that, have a happy Halloween.
Happy
Enjoy the rest
Halloween.
of your weekends, and we'll see you on the next one.
Peace.